an unusual stat line for your team. You had 4 players score over 3 points. It just seems like you have a team of players who know exactly what their role is. It's something that has good experience, but you've also got a freshman who's dominating inside. But it just seems like you've got a lot of players who really know their role and know how to execute their role.
Yeah, I think if there's a time when we're going to figure out our roles and really start to get consistent, now's a better time than any, right? Because we're leading into the end of the season, into the ACC tournament, and then hopefully to postseason play. So I was really proud of the way, one, we moved the ball today. I love when we get production from more than just 1 or 2 players, and the consistency of how hard we played on the defensive end. I think that was what impressed me the most, was that we really locked in on the defensive end. And, you know, this was Coach Porcher Scout, my assistant, and he did a great job, like, once players were switching in and out on their team, switching up our defense. And I do think that kind of kept them at bay. And maybe with them, you know, I think their freshman point guard is phenomenal. But I think us switching up defenses a little bit she had to think a little bit more out there at the one, and that maybe took away from her ability to put up the big numbers that she normally puts up on top of, you know, Marnell Gerard, who I think is a really great defender, kind of harassing her in there. And so I thought offensively, like you said, we had 4 people in double digits, and we hit shots. I mean, we shot almost 50% from the floor. That's great. But I thought a lot of that consistency and that confidence came from how well we played on the defensive end.
Let me ask you about Cameron Schwartz. I mean, she's been a good player for a long time, but the last 5-6 weeks, she's just taken it to another level. Just talk about how she's playing the best basketball of her career at this point in her career.
Absolutely. Like you said, when we brought Cameron into Boston College, there was no doubt that this is where she was going to end up, in our opinion. She is a very talented basketball player. But with her, the big thing is her self-confidence. And it has really been off the charts as this year has gone on. And I think that she would be the first one to tell you it's really, she has a lot of confidence, but she also knows her team and her coaches believe in her. And I think that goes a long way. But I'm really proud of just how consistently she's been playing. And especially these last few games, her turnover numbers have really gone down as well. Now, this game was a little bit higher than usual. But I think that she's done a nice job just putting together offensive plays. And I think that I'm hoping the weight, like you said, with everything clicking on all cylinders right now for us, a little bit of a weight might be lifted off of her to where she doesn't feel like she has to create as much, but that the game can come to her because she has more scores. You know, she's surrounded by a good scoring effort. But I couldn't be more proud of Cam, and she had like a lot of family there today, and she's had a lot of people supporting her throughout this year. And just to watch her play with the fluidity and the confidence that she's been playing with has been really fun.
Same question I asked Michaela, but BC's first win at Duke in the ACC era. Does that mean anything to you? I mean, can you put that in any kind of perspective?
I didn't even know. Like, when you said it, that was when I was right with Dickie when she was like, I had no idea. I had no idea, so that's pretty cool. That's probably not a great, mature way to say how I feel, but it is pretty neat, you know, like to be a part of history. And I think there's no better team to be part of history with than a team that's been with me and our coaching staff for 4 years, right? So we came in 4 years ago and took over this team as a coaching staff, and those 5 seniors came with us that year too. And so for us to be able to, you know, we discount last year. We don't even look at it. We act like it never happened. So, you know, we're really building off of that 19-20 season with these guys. And I think that this was a fun win. But it was more so fun, like what you alluded to, just watching everybody play hard on all cylinders on both ends of the floor. And we keep saying, if we could put it together, that we're a really good team. And I thought today we saw a really good glimpse of us putting it together. So I hope we continue to do that.
All right, Sarab, go ahead.
So there were times, especially in the first half, where the game looked a little bit like it might end up like the Florida State game last week, with you guys kind of getting out to a solid lead, but giving them enough for him to come back. What went different tonight, and how were you guys able to hold on to that lead?
Well, you're right. I mean, we definitely got a little ahead of ourselves with some of the turnovers and just the lackadaisical plays on offense that almost put us at a disadvantage. I think probably the difference is that we had a good enough cushion going into that we were able to hone ourselves in. And that's something from the Florida State game that, you know, we've been talking a lot about as a staff and kind of putting it into their heads is that we have to be a better fourth quarter team in order to garner the success that we want this year. So we really worked hard on putting that in their heads, like, hey, fourth quarter's got to be ours. We've got to own the fourth quarter. So even when they made that run, I think that we felt like, all right, we can gather ourselves, bring ourselves back together, and really do what got us there, which is run solid offense and communicate and play well on the defensive end.
And to build off that question, like you just mentioned, in the third quarter, they cut the lead down to 5, but you guys answered back with a big 17-2 run. What went into a run like that? What was working for you guys?
I thought the confidence. Like you know, sometimes when a team goes on, you know, basketball is a game of runs. We talk about that all the time. And so when they went on their run, I sometimes can feel from our team like that panic feeling, and I hate when you feel that as a coach, like you can feel the world kind of coming in on your team. And I never felt like that in this game, and it was truly because the players that were out on the floor, the players that were on the bench, they stuck together, and they really had a high level of confidence that they were playing with. And I think that's pretty indicative of who we need to become if we're going to take our game on the road. You know, we always say there's a couple of things that travel, and that's great defense and rebounding. And I thought that was the difference in this game was the way we rebounded the ball. We did a really good job on the boards, and that kind of kept us, you know, even on their run, which was through our turnovers, we really limited them on the rebounding end, and I thought that was good. And I'll tell you, you know, like Celeste Taylor, boy, does she play hard on defense. Whew. I mean, she gets after it. So, you know, they did make a good run, but I thought that we kind of hung in there and kept our poise and our patience.
And go ahead.
Coach, winning on the road, I feel in the ACC is pretty difficult, anyways. But to be able to pick one off, and it had been a little while for the team to have won one on the road, but to pick one off and to do it in a big spot, is there an element of satisfaction to see the game elevate when it needed to on the road in particular?
Yeah, I think at this point in the year, and any win for me, it's always an element of relief. I don't know if I ever say, oh, it's satisfaction. For me, I'm just always relieved. So right now, I'm very relieved to get the win. Thankful that I get to coach these amazing young women and get to see them, like you say, create history, winning in Cameron Indoor for the first time in BC history. Those are all things that are really exciting. But as both Maria and I think Michaela Dickens both said, we're almost, you know, this one is behind us, and we really now have to focus on our Syracuse game and see if we can steal another one on the road, because it is hard to win in the ACC on the road.
And Maria setting the block record single season as a freshman. I know I've asked you about, you know, what it was like to watch her in the recruitment. I know I've asked you about her physical play in the post, but just her entire development, things that she did, things that she can do from the beginning to now. Just how has she just added a different element to this team?
I thought, you know, her footwork was superb in this game. I thought when she got the ball down low to make the moves she made, and again, it's one thing to work on them, and she has, like she alluded to, her over the break when we have a lot more time with them to work with them when they're out of school for like 3.5 weeks almost. She put in a lot of time and put in a lot of footwork. But, you know, it's one thing to be able to do it in practice or do it against a scout guy or do it against, you know, nobody. She did that on the biggest stage that there is for us and on the road. And, you know, I just think that there really isn't a limit to her growth. And she's going to continue to grow as a player. And she's a really, really good person. And I love that she was able to put up those numbers and have the game she had with her mom and dad in the stands. So, you know, all around, I couldn't be more proud of her.